So I want to welcome you all to this World Wisdom Circle on December the 13th, I believe it is, but it's end of the year, end of a amazing year, with many ups and downs and ins and outs and flows. And I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to share a few ideas with all of you. I am expecting quite a few more people who listed that they were going to come. So I will hope to let them in as I do this. Although I'm wondering whether, Christine, if I made you co-host, could you keep an eye on people coming in? Do you know how to do that? Just in case that I don't want to miss anybody. So let me just.
Okay. That'll just pop up on my screen, right?
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So currently on our screen, we have wonderful coverage. We've got two people from England. We've got Philip and Debbie is from England. Cheetal up there, President Peel Collage, she's in Canada. Hawk is in Norway. And my lovely friend, Her Majesty Kosi, is coming from South Africa, and we will hear more from her later. And there are members from America, Robert and Monique and Feroz and Carmen. And I live in Las Vegas, but I'm British. I shouldn't say but, however, I'm British. I'm a world citizen as far as I'm concerned. And I'm very passionate about creating something different for our future, a future that is all about authentic harmony. And for those of you who don't know our work, my work, our work, we've been meeting over the last several years, really since COVID took us online, and over 2020, 21, 22, now 23, we've had a range of monthly meetings. Wisdom, sometimes they're being called wisdom circles now, but they were called magical conversations. The two are interconnected, and I'll explain why. The goal was always to explore what is the world like for men and women. And it's very specific about how do men and women create what we call a joint custody world through the eyes of authentic harmony, rather than fighting for equality. We're not saying no to equality, but we're saying, is there another way? Is there another way? And over the last year, specifically, under the heading of positive masculinity, which is a role I've been given by G100 Network, really looking at what's happening in the world for men and women together. And so the G100 is a major part of this, but it's also broader than that. There are lots of groups that are doing extremely amazing work in this field. And one of my passions is, yes, to empower women, but not to isolate the empowerment of women. It's the empowerment of men and women together. And it's a great blessing to run the G100. And some of my group are here. Cheetal is our G100 country chair for Canada. And Carmen is a G100 country state chair for California, which, as we know, is bigger than England. So I think it's actually a country. I think it wants to be a country. And Feroz, who is our G100 denim partner, so he acts as our male support in that network. But also we have other amazing people here, especially Philip Palmer. Philip Palmer's been working, being my great friend for over 30 years, and is one of my go-to people who understands the core of what I work with, which is gender dynamics intelligence. And I've spoken to many of you in many different guises. Christine and I are just presenting a program called The Art of Gender Dynamics Archetypes. But if I may, I will, as I'm recording this, I'd like to take you into a few slides to just put some context into what we're doing. And let me see if I can find my show. Now, there's a classic, isn't it? Let's show all windows. Here it is. So if I may, I'm just going to begin this. So can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. So one of my passion is to understand how we can transform the world. There's a lot of talk about social justice between men and women and all differences. So between nations, between preferences of all kinds, generational preferences, sexual preferences, everything. But I believe the core of it is having men and women around the table and certainly not ignoring women who have a great value in the world. We are half of the world and we really value men, and we like men who really value us as women and women of all diversities. So for me, it is about a mission on authentic harmony. And we want to look at women and men creating a joint custody world. And for me, the issue about coming to the end of the year is how do we really take action in 2024? Because we've done with talking, we're not done with talking, but we have talked so much about this. We all know, even those who are new to this wisdom circle, that there are issues that we are still not resolving. Gender-based violence is apparent in many places, and we tend to read about that in Africa and India and other countries, but to be honest, it's prevalent in the USA, in the UK, in Europe, every country where there's domestic violence or anything that offends a female human person. Now, we're not defending anything. We want to really explore how we go forward. And for me, the value cycle that we work with is key. So each human person is vital, and together we create relationships. And where those relationships are damaged, we create the fight for equality, the fight for social justice. I want to remove the fight and create the harmony in the we. And we do this through magical conversations. So the key here is that the magical conversation is without judgment, it's without anger, and it's without coercion. And what I mean by that is, yes, we're in a hurry to get things right, but we really want to understand how everybody sees the world in authentic harmony terms, especially when they have been, unfortunately, traumatized by anything that is damaging. And obviously, at the vicious end of gender-based violence is rape and murder. And at the other end, there is even, in the corporate world, marginalization of women at really, really different levels. Some might be just critique, not giving women the rights to do what they want to do, to be on the board or whatever it is. We know the stats, and I don't want to go into the stats, but the situation is marginally getting better, but it is marginal in my view. And so I was thinking a unique approach to the future maybe is to remind yourself always about that cycle. Where are the relationships? Where do we find harmony? Think about, what does harmony mean to you? And then in the world of the 2004 plans, how do we make that work for the benefit of corporations, of nations, of issues that are desperately needing turning around? Because we do know that men and women are different. I hope we all agree that in a fundamental way, as well as being human beings and all the same, we are able to empower each other. And the language we can value with each other is authentic harmony. And I will mention at the end, we actually are looking at translating my book into French. That's nearly finished and will go live in January. And then we will maybe translate it into Spanish and maybe one language or two in Africa. The goal is, how do we get harmony across differences? And one of those is the barrier of language. How can we be complementary and complementary? So these are the things that we're looking for. And as Einstein said, who I totally adore, we cannot solve problems at the same level of thinking that we were when we created these problems. I want to really think into a different set of principles and look at the future through a woman's lens and invite men to the real synergy success. Now, this is what the G100 is about. And I want you to imagine now, if you even just close your eyes and think about what would a joint custody world look like? I mean, I'm not supposing what it is. I'm just saying, let's make it happen. I don't know what the how is. I'm letting go of the how. I want you to imagine a mutual ownership. So a space where we don't have domestic violence, we don't have gender-based violence. We actually all get to the table together without the sign that says reserved for men only. To imagine a future where we're not fighting for equality because we have got beyond that and we're really into harmony. And there's a lot of people talk about this, a lot of people. So I'm not saying that we're the only people, but I do believe it's probably only 10% of the world that really want harmony. So I just want to introduce you to the full range of the G100 group that I have. The G100 is a world network run by Dr. Harbeen Arora in Delhi, and she has many, many chairs. So I'm only one of 100, but my chair and our chair is about positive masculinity. And what's important is this is a movement bigger than me. This is a movement that started in Africa, actually with men of presidential level, and 6 presidents from DRC Congo, Senegal, Togo, Rwanda, Ghana, and South Africa have said, we want to eliminate violence against women and girls. Now, they don't mention in the middle of that authentic harmony, but I'm being privy to watching what's going on there. I want to share a little bit of that with you so you know that if we could get into the mix more fully and take our wisdom in a white paper, in the programs that we support, in all ways to help men and women in all the nations of the world to seek authentic harmony, I believe it would be a step put towards reducing, eliminating violence against women and girls, but it also would be a plus to create much more. So as well as stopping what we don't want, I really want us to think about what we start, which is really different. So you can see the spread of our countries. Cheetah, who is here with us, is up there in Canada. I haven't got Carmen on the map because she's a regional chair and under the guise of Dr. Maureen McIntosh, who's in the USA chair. But Carmen, I really, really appreciate because you're very active and I really love that. But what we've got here is that we can tap into all these different cultures. And that's what I want you to realize is that these are different cultures who have different awareness of male and female issues. And we'll look at the issues for women differently in Chile than they are in Bangladesh, than they are in the middle of Africa, they are in Europe, in the UK. The issues for women are sometimes similar, but there are specific local issues. And one of the things I would like to really do for 2024 is to draw together evidence from all of these countries through these wonderful women and to make sure that we understand what is common in those countries that we want to stop and what is common in those countries that we really want to start and what is specific to those countries and to gain status in the world for this white paper. So one of the things I'd like you all to think about is how we present that in a way that supports individual nation issues in terms of equality, moving to harmony, and who we can have to sponsor the gathering together of the evidence in our white paper, because that's one of the things that I can't do this all on my own. And I don't have the operational skills to really pull that together, but I know people who can do it. And I want to find a major sponsor, a corporation, potentially that one of you know or can recommend, who will actually sponsor the white paper so that it benefits all of us and humanity. So the G100 is one part of this. Also, Faraz and I are part of Rotary, and there's a lot of work done by Rotary across the world, enhancing and empowerment of women and education. So I want to make sure that this white paper can be connected into that organization and make sure that the spread of this goes, and that every one of you can contribute towards this white paper, which will have a structure and a set of questions for each country lead, but general statistics about what is happening in the world. The overall mission for G100 is to embrace conversations across genders, make room for men to contribute positively to the empowerment and inclusion of all, with a spirit of respect for differences, equality and harmony, mitigating violence and discrimination against women, girls and women worldwide. So that's the official statement that that part of my mission comes into order. For me, it's broader than that. And sometimes we need to look at things from a different perspective. I love this picture of this little girl looking upside down at the world. I hope that you agree with me that things are pretty chaotic and dire in the world. And in wartime and in economic crisis, women always get the worst end of it. They are marginalized. I work also with the World Union of Small and Medium Enterprise and look at women in different developing countries. And the issues for them are they always marginalized. They're always put second in terms of funding, technology, and familial support. So one of the things we also did recently, and some of you are on the illustration here, we were asked, if you had global power for 24 hours, absolute global power, what would you do for women? And some of these ideas, I think, are absolutely stunning. And, you know, if we could only activate those. Now, the group that put this together is a group in London called Sabotage, and they support world business women. And that's another avenue that I can take the white paper into and to spread the word. So really, I just wanted to share that as information source for the connectivity of what we can do. So we have the G100 and we have this group who are missioned in Westminster, in London, and through the House of Parliament connections to engage 1 million women, business women, into this network. So it's not excluding men. And I want to share with you what's happening in Africa is that there is change happening with this man. This guy is called Dr. Djibril Diallo, and he is supporting and leading this red card campaign. So just so you understand, this red card campaign is about eliminating violence against women and girls. All of you who ever seen a football match, you know that if somebody is violent or obstructive on the pitch, they get the red card. And the red card means if you're David Beckham, you're off the pitch. So it's a way of really highlighting. And the gentleman that he's standing with is the president of DRC Congo. And you might think about the fact that I'm translating my book into French as the DRC Congo and my friend Dr. Diallo are both from French-speaking nations. And if we're going to have harmony across the world, we also need to understand the interpretation in different languages and different cultural norms. Another amazing person who is on the call with us tonight, because it is your night, because they're in South Africa. But I met this amazing woman who I'm going to invite to share in a minute. I met you in Las Vegas at a conference, and I was talking about harmony. And after my piece about cracking the leadership code and using harmony rather than fighting for equality, we had an amazing conversation about the fact that harmony was a much better approach to dealing with these things. And as you see, they call me the woman king because in her arena and in her tribe, she's the first woman leader for some centuries. And therefore she's king, a non-gender title, and is called the woman king. But what I love about your approach, Kosi, is that you appreciate harmony and that working together is much more than just being nice. It's actually understanding our differences. So the language that I believe we can forward is a language that can change business and society and the nature of aggression against people, especially women and girls, but obviously young people, boys as well, come into this. So I see, and dare I say, my life mission is that we take the language that we can understand, and I've written about in my book, The Power of Authentic Harmony, and we take this into programs which we already have. I'm running one with Christine, which is about actually sitting into your archetypes and drawing your archetype. We have programs for leadership where we crack the leadership code. Many programs which will change the way things are out there. In terms of this going forward, then, I really want to have your support. I am not going to do this on my own. This is all about harmony. My whole life has been about harmony, but it is about coming together. So through these different networks, through the G100, through Savitas in London, through many, many other networks and connections, we can take the classes out. That's the groundwork. That's helping people to understand themselves and have those conversations. And the magical conversations can tackle really sensitive subjects because you invite people to a space where they have no judgment, they share from their experience. So I don't mean they haven't got any judgments at all, but in the circle, they share without being judgmental. And this is really important. Philip and I have run programs over 30 years, and we know that when we get people into a space where they understand the value cycle, they understand they can be themselves, we start shifting the agenda. And what we want to do is to shift the agenda. We are launching a French version of the book, and I'm doing this with Diana Monique, who's a G100 chair for France and Benin. And I really want to appreciate what she's been helping me to understand. And this is really important. You know how you get aha moments in your life when you think, oh, I kind of knew that, but I hadn't spoken it. She hasn't just translated my book. She's given me a different interpretation because I don't speak French. I speak English. I don't even speak American. Okay, so I speak English. And there's a different interpretation on certain phrases and words. So working with Diane in the book has been really fascinating because she's asking me, well, what does that mean? If I said, for instance, men tend to think in a box, she said, what do you mean a box? Because in French, you can't just translate box, the English word box, to the French word box. It's the context. And I felt I really understood that when we're talking about harmony, even when we're all speaking the same language, we do actually come from different language points of view in terms of being different archetypes. So men see the world in a certain way, women see the world in a certain way. In our archetypes, we have the ruler and the philosopher, male. They see the world slightly different within the male cultural norm. The women, the magician and the sovereign, we see the world slightly different in terms of the world of women. And we explore that in these programs. But the last point is the white paper. This is really important, I believe. And I see this publication going worldwide. I want to be able to bring in context from South Africa, from Kosi. I want to bring it in from Dr. from Savitas in London. I want to bring it in from all of us and to make sure that we look at what do we want to stop? What is not right between men and women that is abhorrent? And to me, that's anything that's toxic behavior and abusive. What do we want to continue, which we've already been doing? We've been doing a lot of work here, and I know lots of groups and associations are doing great work on equality and social justice. And what do we want to start that's totally different? What can we do if we turn the world upside down and said, right, things can be totally different? And what can we be ourselves as a group, and how can we grow what we do here? So I'm going to stop this. I have got some other pieces that if we have time, I will share, but I will send to you, which is some very good work that's been happening in Africa, and the progress of the positive masculinity movement out in those arenas is progressing. I say that with a slight hesitation. I think, of course, they will understand this. It's still a man's mission. So the conferences that have been happening on the positive masculinity movement are coming from a male point of view that we're going to sort it out. And as we know, especially the women here on the call, we need to be at the table sharing in a very balanced, integrated way for it to really, really change. So there's lots of progress, but maybe not fast enough. And I want to know how we can accelerate this so that we don't end up at the end of 2024 still with the same level of gender-based violence or domestic abuse or lack of women in the boardroom, that we actually are a significant part of change in our nation states or our local arena. I would like to just ask my friend Queen King Crossy, are you there? Thank you.
I'm here. I'm here, Dr. Pauline.
I would love you to share your thoughts on your own position as woman king and how we can take some of your learning into the world that everybody can share.
Okay. Okay. Once again, greetings to the house at large. I am going to request to keep my video off for connectivity purposes.
Yes.
Otherwise it will glitch. Well, Dr. Pauline, let me first appreciate the platform and this very important circle. This is a topic that perhaps if we had started earlier as the global community, maybe some of the challenges that we face today would not even be in existence. So I just want to appreciate you and the work that you're doing, your team. It's very important. Well, where do I even start? I think the best way to put it is a woman king. Look, if as a Christian, I strongly believe that if you're destined to be somewhere at a certain time, then that's what will happen. And you're not there because of your own doing, but because you're on assignment. And in this case, I strongly feel that I am on assignment that's beyond just being a ruler of my people, Barolombo, Silika, and Tabanchu within the Free State province in South Africa, but to be there as a barrier breaker, as a warrior of some sort, because it's really about breaking the walls and the stereotypes that are there. And this is the conversation that we are basically having. Now, when we speak about harmony, I like to say, and I think in the previous meeting we had, I did mention that I believe that we have unnatured nature. I use that term a lot because nature in itself works in harmony.
Yes.
Nature itself complements, everything in nature complements each other. And we as human beings, we came in and thought we knew everything. We know more than nature. We know, and that's where our problem is. That's where our issues arise from. Now, yes, you are quite correct, Dr. Pauline, in saying that, we are under pressure at all levels, globally, regionally, at country level, at community level, and within our households. So, and even beyond our households, with ourselves, we are in conflict with ourselves. And that's where harmony needs to start from, being synchronized with yourself, the sense of self, and being at peace with yourself. Now, if we are to really get to a point where we realize the outcomes, the positive outcomes that we are so desperate to attain, socioeconomic and environmental outcomes, in fact, then harmony must be at the center of everything we do. We are in agreement. I think we both agree that, these terms, sometimes each day there's a new term, and equality that we've spoken about. How do we find the balance? How do we bring that harmony that we want for everyone to understand their importance, the important role that they play? Imagine if we all genuinely understood that we need one another in order to make the world a better place, not just for compliance, but in genuinely so, in full genuineness. I don't think we would be where we are, and most certainly, to a high degree, we wouldn't be faced with the issues that we are faced with: corruption, greed, the level of crime and gender-based violence, all these social ills that we face, because we would not be experiencing, for example, the level of moral decay that we are experiencing, because we would understand that we need one another. And at the center of that harmony, we must love. We must love, we must care, and we must support one another. And like I say, we must have harmony of self, harmony within the home, harmony within the community, harmony within our countries, and that will then give us the harmony that we seek across the globe. So, meaning what we are basically preaching must be deliberately systemized, we must find a way to systemize it. See, as you are correctly pushing for the white paper, and that's where we need to go. Let's not just talk about harmony, but our systems and laws should then promote harmony in genuineness, if I can say so.
Yes.
Today we must work very hard to reignite the spirit of love, the spirit of care for one another. In my language, we have the saying that says "Motho ke motho ka batho," and in Zulu, I think the Zulu phrase is more famous, more popular, because Zulu is a generally popular language in South Africa. It says "Umuntu umuntu kabantu," but that generally means I am because you are. And when you were speaking about your giving your presentation, you did touch on that, that men and women, but we are because of one another, really. So a person is a person through other people. So and that goes for the gender as well. So the person who came up with this phrase "umuntu ngumuntu kabantu" is actually a Christian African philosopher, J.S. Mbiti. And he was saying this is basically being rooted in the importance of relational form of personhood. And that's what we can basically say is harmony, a place of pure humanness, if I can put it like that, a place of pure humanness. and that's where we want to go. If we had harmony, no one would go hungry, no one would live in poverty, no one would feel the need of violating the next person, because that's what harmony means, mutual respect, and it also means taking responsibility for our actions. So yes, as a royal leader, a woman royal leader for that matter, in an institution that is so patriarchal, you really have to have the wisdom. You really have to have the correct temperament. You really have, and it's all about that wisdom that really gets you through. And I try to lead by example, through it within my country and internationally as well. We must try as leaders. I think that's our responsibility to show and lead the way by being exemplary in our mindset and in how we approach issues. So that's what one tries to do. And we must also say we have a long way to go, but a
Yes.
very long way to go, but we must definitely take up space. We must use the opportunities and take charge where we need to take charge, in platforms that are presented to us, and also educate. I think that's what we really need to do, and that's how probably I also survive, because I don't see this as, where I am as, I don't take it in a negative light. I see it as an opportunity to bring the change that we want to see, to be the voice that's a barrier breaker, that's there to build, that's there to teach, that's there to take up the space and really contribute positively.
Yes.
So I think we just need to continue to be torchbearers for positive change, torchbearers for harmony. And that would be my take home, and my message to you. Wisdom is something that we attain usually from the journey that we have traveled individually, and usually it's a journey that has, where we've experienced some sort of hardships and failure, and it is in how we were able to overcome those hardships, that really separate us from the rest. So yes, with those words, I think I would just like to say we need to remain with, a renewed interest in ensuring that we attain harmony, a renewed spirit, that we lead in showing the way, and that we work together, to see if we can make the change that we want to see. Because I believe in working together, we
Yes.
we we uh, we we achieve more than we can ever comprehend, basically. And
Absolutely.
yes,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So those are my words to you, and I'd like to wish each and every single one of you a wonderful holiday season. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Royal Highness. And I'm so delighted that you are a woman king, that you're here with us. And I wanted everybody to get to know you, because I think you're a wonderful example in the world, that we can support you as well, and you can support us, and we can potentially, we have talked about, and I will be emailing you as well, about presenting a conference of a different nature, where we get really keynote addresses such as yours. I'm totally honoured to have met you and all of you, and I do believe that nothing happens without a reason. So,
Yes,
because he was a late
thank you.
speaker for the conference I was at, and we just connected. and that there's always a reason that we connect and we bring evidence together. So I'd like to open it up to all of you, and I know I asked Philip if he would give a word on what we do as a team at Corporate Heart, and how do you see us going forward, Philip, as men and women together, especially representing the rulers of the world? Would you give us a piece of wisdom for this time of the year?
Thank you, Pauline. As I remember it, as I recall it, it wasn't a word, but that's fine. I can cope with that. I did, for once, had some pre-knowledge of the fact I was going to be asked to say something. Pauline often just says, "Oh, Philip, would you care to add a word or two?" So I'm used to working with Pauline in this ad hoc, spontaneous way. And actually being told in advance that I was going to say something means that I actually sat down and thought about what I was going to say. And interestingly, lots of it touches on what Cozy has also said. And interestingly, why would it be different if we're both speaking about authentic harmony? So that's where I want to start. I've got 3 main points that I want to talk through. And the first is what I've termed as the nevers. We have to acknowledge there will be people who will never see authentic harmony as an appropriate approach. These, for me, are the people who wish to have power, control, and/or are greedy, and any combination of those. And we have lots of examples in the world of those people. And I don't think authentic harmony will get too close to them too quickly. The way they will change is when more of the world is in authentic harmony, and they're looking for ways to profit from the power of the people in harmony. And that's when they may come on board. So that's the big negative. Just want to raise it, because if we don't think about that or have that in mind, we run the risk of attempting to have something that looks rosy, peachy, and otherwise glamorous, and it's being faced with the monster of, well, we're quite happy ruling the world the way we do, thank you, so we don't need you. So it's just to bear in mind the naysayers and some of the reasons why. So the second thing that I think we need to acknowledge is that lots of humans fear change. All of us experience change on a regular basis without necessarily appreciating that it is change, and we library it in our head under different headings because we don't want to face the fact it's change. And so I've got a lovely phrase that I use called velvet lined rut. And what this means is this is a very comfortable place in which people experience their life. But at the end of the rut, there's this enormous brick wall that they know they're heading towards at enormous speed and will hit at some point. But they are comfortable doing what they're doing, going around things the way they do, enough to put up with hitting the wall and hurting themselves for the 75th time. And that's a velvet line rut. So it's basically keep doing what you're doing, because if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got, except in your head you're saying, maybe on this occasion it won't. And they're the people that are frightened, and they're the ones who we can help the fastest. Because once you show someone there is fear in change that's worth the opportunity of grasp, then you can start to help them understand who they are. And that's the third point I want to make. If we are talking about people being harmonious and in authentic harmony, then, like Kosi said, everyone needs to understand who they are. They need to be authentic in their own way and accept that other people will be authentic in a way that could be different, but is nonetheless authentic. And part of what authentic means to me is the word trust. When I worked with a lot of corporate companies for a very long time, a few years ago now, the biggest issue that was always at the forefront of everything was trust. people in the organization did not trust that other people somewhere else in the organization, particularly upwards, would value their contribution, so they didn't bother to contribute. And the people further up would look at their people and say, well, there's no point giving them anything to do because they never come up with any ideas. So there's an immediate imbalance, which is very easy to restore. The other thing for me about authentic harmony is walking the talk. So being that person, doing and saying the things you believe in, and then doing and saying them and meaning them and acting them out and being that individual. That's the way you help others understand, even non-verbally, that you do mean what you say and you will do what you say you will do. And that for me worked brilliantly well when I used to be a team leader and took on a team who were totally demoralized because their boss would take all their credit and would then dish out anything that was in the way of criticism, blaming them for it. It took a while, but once you have the walk the talk, be authentic, be who you are, and help and support people, then they start to believe and trust. And the third part of that is the pebble in the lake. And I wrote that quickly because that hits what Kosi said. If you start with you and then branch out, the pebble in the lake is a lovely visual symbol where you drop a pebble in and you watch the ripples. And the more you are comfortable in being who you are with others, the more authentic you are. So you don't need to be this person with this group or that person with that group. The more you are you with everyone, the more everyone will see you for who you are. So there'll be no expectations. There'll be no surprises in a way, because they'll expect you to be like this and they won't be surprised that you are like this. But that isn't to say you won't surprise them, because you may well do that. But it is about saying the more you are who you are, the more people understand you immediately. And don't forget, 93% of communication is non-verbal. So it's how you say what you say that also helps people understand, yeah, this person's sincere. So you have to ask yourself, what does sincere mean to you?
Yes.
So that's what I wanted to say, really. And thank you for the opportunity, Pauline.
Thank you. That was perfect. And yes, and that was perfect because that really gets into the nitty-gritty of why is something that's so obvious to me not happening in the world. Because you know, and someone I was talking to the other day said, oh, just, you know, people should just be happy. I think, yeah, but you can't just be happy, because you have to understand all the nuances of what is understood, what's misunderstood, and why do terrible things happen? You know, why does toxicity and bad behavior and offensive behavior happen in the world? So I think that was those 3 points with lots of bullet points was really well put together, my darling. As I don't want to go over the hour, though I'm happy to stay here, but I want to know if there's anybody who wants to make a quick comment now, especially on an action point, which I really want to pull this white paper together. For us, you were very you know, keen that we put together a white paper, and it's not just G100. This is everybody who wants to contribute, but obviously it needs to hit the right platforms, the right desks, the right ears. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. The actual putting it together, I can find somebody to you know, put the structure together and gather the information. But I want to know how we can find a revenue sponsor or somebody who will actually back this, because they want it. Not just the money, but they believe in authentic harmony. You know, a McKinsey, for instance, but maybe not as big as McKinsey. I don't know. Forbes, a name that will make a difference. I don't know whether anybody has thoughts on that. And obviously we can take this offline as well.
I love that you
Comment.
brought The one thing that I wanted to add was about commerce and was about making money. Because when we shift from a war economy into a peace economy, which a lot of people don't even, I won't even go there, but I'm becoming aware of more people talking about this.
Yes.
What does a peace economy look like? And from what I understand, war is the #1 cause of poverty on the planet. And so the more we talk about that as a possibility and who can we invite into the circle that could provide mentorship for entrepreneurial matters. You know, I think the more that we supply our own power and the more that we prosper ourselves individually, the less we need other people. And thank you, Philip, for saying that the way to invite people to this party is to make this party very enticing, you know, not
Yeah.
asking them to change. We say, no, actually, this is the norm. And how much more fun, how much better does this feel? This is what's possible. So we're not seeking from power structures, we're creating a new power structure that's based on a reframe of power and what that looks like, you know, where everybody wins, because everybody wins when everybody wins. And the other way is not.
Well, absolutely, and that is the essence of my book, The Power of Authentic Harmony. And so I would encourage everybody to read it, not only because I want to sell it to you, but also I can give it to you free. I don't mind. But it really is important because Carmen, as I hope you understand, that is the framing of power. So that's why I see if the power of authentic harmony is the power of the orchestra, it's the power of the voices together, we're all free to be ourselves. And actually what Jose said as well is that my passion is that we are always authentically ourselves, our natural born self. That's so important. And where we use the archetypes, that's not cloning them at all. It's actually giving a guideline as to how to step into the circle and to actually use it in a free and empowering way. Yeah. So the power source for me is our authentic harmony from our hearts and our beingness and what we say and do in every situation. Because I think that's one of the reasons that when I was talking with my publisher, Adriana, about the title of my book, we decided to put the word power in there because it's catchy, you know, the power, because people sometimes want the bad power. they want the coercive power. But if we can really enhance people's lives naturally, which is what Kasi said as well, we enhance our lives naturally to be who we are, then the harmony comes naturally. And that's what I have a vision for, is that people naturally use their authentic harmony to be in song with each other, to sing together, to smile together. And that's where each one of us spreading the word is really important. And I would really like your support with this launch of the French book as well. You don't necessarily have to need to read French, but to encourage the idea of harmony across languages, because harmony across languages, can you imagine? It would be so amazing to have this magical wisdom circle where you've got, I don't know, 20 different languages around the table, but they all know the essence of coming in with non-judgmental experience, sharing, and almost having cards on the table where you might have a word and you just have it translated into other languages. I really learned a lot by the fact that it's interpretation, not translation. I hope that resonates with you, because it for me really helped me understand why often, even when you're speaking the same language as somebody, people don't understand what you're saying. You know, it's that classic line, what you think you heard me say is not actually what I really meant, or something. So thank you, Wesam, for being here, and we'll catch up with you. Yes, Happy New Year. So thank you for that comment. I think that's so important, is that it is about nature. It is about being ourselves. It's about coming together and understanding it, everything starts with where I am inside and how I share with you. Is there anyone else who would like to say a word or two? I say it's 9:01. I don't want to keep you longer, but I'm happy to stay here for another half an hour. Philip needs to go. Thank you, but I want to thank you, Philip, for always being there for me and for coming up with some amazing, resounding common sense. But I really do appreciate all of you and what we can do together. I want to make sure that we have some structure to this. We have got a structure to come together for the white paper, which I will share with all of you. I'm trying to get hold of Adriana. Hi, Judith. Do stay on. We started an hour ago, but I still ask for all of you is where can we find a corporate sponsor or somebody who would invest in me being able to put this white paper together, it not being me, because I have somebody who I know is very good at publishing and gathering data together and gathering everything together and being able to publish it, and then having support distributing it to all these different networks. Any thoughts, Fran?
Not immediately, but I think it might help if we have a template for what it is that we're going to publish.
Yes,
It doesn't have to have all the meat, not all the content, but if we had at least an inkling of what the content is going to be, it might be easier to get sponsors that way.
Okay.
Because right now it's very, it's fuzzy, it's tenuous.
Well, we have got a
is this a
template.
paper? Is it a book? Is it 50-page book or a 500-page book? I'm not sure. So I think if there was a way to start putting some content together and having it circulate amongst us so we can see what it is.
Yes.
I don't know what the cost of publishing might be, but if at the end of the day, if each of us has to dip into our pockets and put out a few dollars towards it, together we could make it happen. But I think having that comfort that this is good material that we need to publish, I think might drive that process better.
Oh, yes, yes. And we do have a template. It's just I've been away in England and I haven't had a chance to get together with Adriana. She's put a template together. So I will definitely send it out to you. I think one of the things that really I want it to be global, which is why the spread of the G100 country checks is important, because the template will seek to ask questions in each country as to how does this impact you, and then there will be global kind of general information, a bit like McKinsey's report on women in the workplace, not the same as that, but where you're gathering. I'm always gathering data together, which is general world data or country data. And what I really want to know is from the individual country chairs, what is actually going on in your country for women and what are the issues that we can do. So yes, that template will be there. And then just to think about how we find the right corporate sponsor. I believe it would be a corporate sponsor rather than a community sponsor. I don't know, that's my gut feeling.
Yeah, so I was just thinking if we have a succinct statement or goal as to what this mission is. So let's come up with that.
Yes.
This is the intention. This is the intention of this paper. Then we can find a corporate match to the mission. So the company that's their brand intention, their business goal is to do that in the world. And then it's just an easier match. I'm not saying I know anyone that would be able to, but I think that's a place to start. Who has that mission?
Yes. Well, I have got a written value proposition, so I will send that out to each of you. And when I get the template of questions from Adriana, so that will come to you. As just with being away in England, I haven't been able to get that one together. But essentially, yes, it has to align with their mission.
Yeah.
And if it's a corporate entity around the mission of integrating men and women into the viability of the organization, but more than that, so it depends also if there's a community sponsor, a bit like the Red Card campaign is, it's that kind of energy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to Chantal as well as Cozy, leaders in their own countries, women of note. And Chantal is the G100 chair for human rights in DRC Congo. So looking at the key players and then maybe pulling this white paper into a major conference, which Cozy and I were talking about just a few weeks ago, where we actually make that statement. So as some of you know, Feroz and myself and some others of our G100 were on a call with another G100 chair about Our Diversity Unites Us. So it's maybe not that title, but there'll be some title that pulls this together around the theme of the power of authentic harmony, making difference in the world, along the lines of what Cozy has talked about and what I presented and Philip present. So that's the goal, and I don't have it defined today, but it is there in different parts. So I will send it out to you, all of you, and others that have been on these calls before, and start working that together. I suppose just as a last question, in terms of the World Wisdom Circle, which has been the place that has happened every month this year on our goal to bring the wisdom circles of all the G100 girls together. But I would like to continue it and make sure that we meet at least once a month as we get that white paper going. So I'll plan to send that to you before the end of the year. It's only the 12th of December. Is it the 12th today? No, it's the 13th.
13th. It's flying.
Oh my God, it's going too fast. Yes, so those are the main points I wanted to share with you today, is that there's going to be programs, there's going to be the books, the French, there are 14 French nations in Africa, and we have support from the Vice Chancellor of Côte d'Ivoire and higher level in DRC Congo, and hopefully Dr. Diallo from Senegal, so we can start spreading that out. I would really like everybody to read The Power of Authentic Harmony, because there are very important principles in there, and they're very important aspects of the work around the archetypes that are in there that make a difference to the way people talk to each other in magical conversations, and that we need to actually host several magical conversations of note around the world. That's my own personal set of intentions, that I want to bring these audiences together and make sure that we actually tackle the sensitive issues. So are there any other questions? I know, Judith, you said, when am I in England? I'm not in England again until heaven knows when. Probably heaven does only know that. It certainly won't be in November next time. And so, but I do want to embrace different countries. It's really good to have Norway here and Canada. We have members down in Malaysia, in Bangladesh, in India. I lived in Malaysia for 4 years, doing a lot of work with different parts of Africa and hopefully more parts of USA and UK. I see this as a global intention. And my experience is that I'm connected to many, many networks. If we can put this together, I have no issue in how I will spread it out and step up to that higher level, because that's what I do. I meet people and I make these connections, but I'm not good at doing the engine of the car. I was talking to Phil about this. I don't know how to build the engine, but I've got all the parts and they're lying out in this warehouse. and I need you to help me put them all together
Mhm.
so the engine makes the most amazing authentic harmony car that will go everywhere in the world. That makes sense?
Yeah. And Pauline, as we think of, getting some support funding for the white paper or the booklet or whatever it's going to be, we need to think beyond just corporations. There are
Yes,
foundations whose mission might fit in right with what we're trying to do, who might be supportive.
yes,
There may be NGOs out there who are doing similar things, and they have funding from maybe the Gates Foundation. They can give us a piece of that.
yes,
So I think we need to think more broadly. The other thing with respect to spreading the word, whether it's with your current book and various, French and Spanish versions and so on, or with
yeah.
the white paper, I'm just wondering if we can spread those through the university systems in each of those countries. They're very open to providing books to their students or having a discussion about those kinds of topics.
Yes,
And maybe that's another way to influence a lot of young people and, prepare the
yeah,
next generation to think differently.
yeah, definitely. I agree. Definitely through the university system. Um, and just really, I don't know whether it's a paid volume that people buy or what it is. So that's where I need to find out. I'm talking to somebody who is very averse with funding and sponsorship for non-profit organizations. And I think there will be a lot out there that are themed along this line. There's so many that are women only. I really want to look at the ones which are really focused on probably equality, but shifting that to the harmony message. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the universities definitely, and also what other organizations? I don't know, but I'm sure we can find that. Once we've got once we've got the gem in the middle, and we know that it's honed in the right way. So I've got the value proposition, I've got all the stuff we've done this year, and the template. I will send it out to you all, and you can give some feedback, because it's almost like the template has to have a skeleton that all the countries can answer and gather the data. And then there's some general forwards, and hopefully, Cozy, you could write a forward to this about your experiences and what you've shared with us in your nation state. And yeah, and also yeah, and also Dr. Habeen, I'm going to talk with her. In fact, interesting enough for us, they have got meetings in New York City in March. And I'm trying to find out what the context of those is, because I think Dr. Habeen has a meeting with the UN CSW, whatever it is, the UN section for women, because it's heading up towards International Women's Day on March the 8th. So there potentially might be some gathering there. So my thought is to get this going and then talk with her. She never sponsors any funds, but she would sponsor the idea of it being threading the way through the G100 networks as well. So there are lots of avenues that we can move this document out through. So thank you. Thank you, all of you, for your ideas. I hope Debbie and Hawk and Judith and Tita and Christine, you enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed listening to you, Cozy. So I'm really grateful for you being here. And we want to make sure we support you, as well as you helping us to make sure wisdom spreads throughout the world.
Yes, it's always a brilliant, enlightening experience. I am just so grateful for all of you. Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
to
you very
you
much.
all.
I appreciate you. And once we get this white paper going, then we'll have lots of feedback. I just need some funding to, I got somebody, Hadassah would be able to organize it. Or if you know anybody who would be a brilliant organizer of the information.
Yeah, Pauline, also if we can get some sort of an estimate as to the size of the nature of the funding you're looking for this to be published. That might help. And certainly
Yes.
the idea of having, a forward by a woman king would be marvelous. I wish we had more woman kings around in the world, including at the peace table, because we need to promote those kinds of issues. And certainly, as I was listening to Kosi, I was relating to the article that I sent you recently about philosophers, the wisdom of women that has not been published all these years, because all the philosophers I've read have typically tended to be men.
Yes.
Historically, the Greeks and the Romans and the Persians and all the ones before that, and the poets. Yet, when you think that half of humanity is female, there must have been wonderful, insightful thoughts by all those women out there. And I'm sure they are today. And if we can capture some of those, so it's not only woman kings we need woman philosopher kings out there, because there is a lot of wisdom out there that's not coming out. And we can persuade a lot of people to think differently if we use the right words and come up with the right kinds of situations so they can relate to them. Most, at least men, from my perspective, until you talk to them, they do not automatically relate to the issues of the day. And I think we need to create that connection for people to think properly. And knowledge is power, and we need to use that knowledge to empower them to change their behaviors and attitudes.
Oh, thank you, Kosi, for that. Yes, I'm humbled. Blessings to you all. Oh, well, I do believe in the world. We always meet for the right reason. Nothing happens by accident. So we're all part of this movement for authentic harmony, and that's it is going to come together. And so I will do my best to get that before Christmas. In the next week, I will get that template out, and we'll start looking at where the funding might come from, and we'll just do it. Was it Nike says, just do it?
Just
if there's no more comments today, I will take my leave of you all, and I would be really grateful for you being here. I will forward you some ideas and also some of the links that I've got. I'm going to send you the article that was about Kosi's that I showed you on the screen. I can send you the article. That's really interesting read. And also some other things. And Robert said he wants to contribute. So if all of you can help me, this will be fantastic. Is there any other questions before we leave?
I just want to say it was a pleasure to meet you all and to listen. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll get more of your wisdom as we go forward, Hawk. Thank you, Debbie, for being here. And I'll be in touch with you all. And thank you. Thank you. And Judith, thank you for being here. If you want to stay on, I'll just share what we did before you arrived. But thank you, all of you, for being here.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Kosi. I really appreciate you. Hi, Judith.
Hi.
Hi. I was in England for 3 weeks, but it was all to do with family and not with business. So I'm back here in Las Vegas now. Where are you?
I'm still in the UK.
You're still in the UK.
Yeah.
And when are you staying there? Are you staying there for a long time?
Yeah, I'm going to be here till January.
Okay.